Hello everyone, welcome to another Word on a Wednesday where we bring you an encouraging word from God's Word as sort of a midweek pick-me-up. And my name is Brendan, I'm one of the pastors here at River's Edge, and I am excited to share with you something that has gotten me excited from God's Word in the last week or so. And it started this weekend when we were decorating for Christmas, and one of the things my kids love to put out is a stuffed nativity scene that we had. And my 5-year-old daughter, who is obsessed with stuffed animals, was the one who got to set it up this year. And she was setting it up and she was really excited, grabbing each character from the story, and she got to the end and she said, "What about Mary?" And we realized that the Mary stuffed animal wasn't in the bin. And so we looked around, and crisis averted, we found it. But that question got me thinking, because I grew up in a religious tradition where Mary was really important, and I really didn't understand why. Because then when I read the Bible later, as I became a Christian, I realized that, or I thought that she had a really important role in the beginning, but then she kind of faded to the background and only pops up sporadically. But then this week, as I was reading a devotional, it struck me, at least again, if not for the first time, just how important and a character Mary was, but also what an example she is to us on how to respond in difficult circumstances. Because she's a lot more than just miraculous mother, as miraculous as her motherhood is. But when we look at the story of Mary, we see someone who has every reason to be afraid. She is a young girl who is betrothed to be married, which is scary in of itself, but then an angel comes to visit her. And if we look at the Bible doesn't explain the angels as really warm and fuzzy creatures. They are terrifying a lot of times in the Bible. So she's visited by this angel, and it comes and it announces that she's going to be pregnant with a son who, no pressure, is going to be the Son of the Most High and is going to have a kingdom that never ends. So she has this terrifying responsibility of parenthood, but on top of that are the expectations and the weight of this particular son and what he's going to mean to the world. So she would have to then explain to her fiance, her community, her family, these unexplainable circumstances of her pregnancy. And she had to wonder, be afraid of how he would respond, how her community would respond. Would they disown her? Would they be ashamed of her? Would they do worse to her? Mary had to worry about whether she would survive, and if she did, what kind of life she would have. But her response to the whole situation is astounding, because rather than giving into the fear of the unknown and the anxiety of everything that she was going through, she responds with this amazing faith. And in the end of everything that the angel tells her, she says this in Luke 1:38. She says, "I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." And a few verses later, just after that, she sings a song of praise to God in response to this terrifying, unexpected, anxiety-inducing news that she gets. And it would be awesome to say that that's how we respond to fear. That we respond with a song of praise and just hopeful expectation. But if I'm being honest, fear has this ability to creep in and start to overcome us, take over our response to a lot of situations. And that may look different for some of us. Some of us may retreat when we're faced with fear. Some of us may isolate when we're faced with fears. Some of us may become angry because the fears are overwhelming. Some of us are paralyzed by fear, where we can't move at all because the fear, the what ifs are just too much for us even to consider. Because unchecked fear has this impact on us in profound ways, both internally and externally, on our relationships, on other people around us. But Mary gives us this example of what happens when we can respond to fear with faith. Not ignoring our feelings, but filtering them through what we know about God and His promises to us and His promises to take care of us. Because Mary begins with praise, because she knows that God is worthy of her praise, and then she starts to recognize that she has to play her part, that she's going to do what God has called her to do. And then she trusts in His provision, that He's going to provide through this pregnancy, through this motherhood, and really provide for the world through her son. She trusts in that level of provision. So for us, what's overwhelming us with fear? What's overwhelming you with fear? How are you tempted in those situations where fear is starting to creep in and take over? How are you tempted to respond? Maybe naturally to isolate, to become angry, to be paralyzed by it. We know that Mary had every reason to be afraid. But how does her story, her ability to respond in faith rather than fear, encourage you to respond with hope, to respond with faith in the face of everything that you're going through. I hope you know that the same God that Mary trusted is the God that wants a relationship with you. That he loves you like he loved Mary. That he will provide for you like he provided for Mary. No matter what you're going through, no matter what reason you have to fear, he encourages us that when we trust in him, we can respond with faith and hope, and that we can put our lives in his hands, no matter the circumstances. So whatever you're going through, look at Mary. Sing songs of praise, worship God, trust in his provision, and play your part as you move forward. Have a great week, everybody.